Call the Victoria County Council meeting for Tuesday, October 10th, 2023 to order. Just prior to that, we not acknowledge that this meeting is held in Unama'ki, one of the seven traditional districts of the Mi'kmaq and the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And secondly, just before we ask for approval of the agenda, we'll make notice of the received requests from Councilor McLeod, who's not able to attend this afternoon. So with that, the agenda has been circulated to you. You've had a chance to review the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, we will proceed with our council meeting. And this afternoon, we made arrangements for those discussions with MLA Keith Bain, manager for the Department of Public Works, Steve McDonald. So we'd like to welcome both of you to council this afternoon, and we look forward to the conversation around roads in Victoria County. So, with that,
just remind everyone just to speak up because we're speaking into the owl and the mic as well as we can.
In the middle, okay.
So the owl will follow the voices, I think.
Yeah, there's a mic down there also. So.
Mic for our two guests. So. With that, I know that both of you are familiar and require introductions of councillors. So with that, we're going to open the discussion. Would you like to start? Have any statements you'd like to make?
We need to approve the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need a motion to approve the agenda. My apologies. So moved by the Deputy Warden, second by Councillor Longa. All in favor? Aye. Contrary minded. Motion is carried. The agenda has been approved to circulate. My apologies for that. So moving on, I will again just ask, do you have any open comments you wish to make?
Just on behalf of both Steve and I, Mr. Warden, I'm glad we're able to get together. We do this, I think, a couple of times every year, and it's certainly good to hear firsthand some of the concerns. And I think it's important for you to hear some of the things that are being planned that's coming in the future. So again, we're here to listen. Can't guarantee we can act on everything, but we'll certainly listen and see where we can go from there. And I'll turn it over to Steve for a few words as well.
Okay, same as Keith, council and Warden, thanks for the opportunity to attend your council meeting. I think it's important that we have open discussions, I guess, especially related to highway infrastructure. I know it's a hot topic for many of the councillors at the table. I guess an open remark, I do hear from the council quite often and try to do my best to get back some kind of response or what types of plans that we are putting forward for some of the requests that come in. So saying all that, I guess just on a high level, I wouldn't run through all the roads, but I can give you a quick update on some of our what we call the rural mitigation program, which is what we call a RIM program. It's usually the majority of that budget is contracted out. So we had I guess this year was a little bit up. Our prices, our unit prices came in considerably high, and we're seeing that right across the board, even with our capital paving projects and so on. But capacity wise, we're not in bad shape. We had a couple of fairly large shoreline protection projects that were completed in the area. One was in Jersey Cove, and we did another substantial section on Route 205. That was through the RIM program. There was a number of gravel roads that received gravel patching and ditching. The list is quite extensive, so I'm not going to go through each and every, but I can tell you the contract was awarded and successfully completed by the contractor, which Alva Construction out of, and Alva also was a successful bidder on the armored shoreline protection work. We had some asphalt spreader patching work in the area. That also was successfully awarded to Northern Construction. They finished the asphalt work. They still have shoulder gravel to apply on the Yankee Line Road. We also use some of the funding for in-house things such as brush clearing, some in-house stitching and so on. So I'm going to say that work's about 80% complete. There's still a couple of projects remaining, which we plan on completing. I look at the RIM funding as additional funding to our regular maintenance budget. So it's important that our staff complete the in-house work. We had our asphalt crew together. It's a special work crew that works between the two counties. So we put out approximately over 80 tandem loads of hot asphalt this summer. There's a couple of sites that are still outstanding to get completed over the next couple of weeks. The area that we're behind on this year, just to let the group know, is brush clearing. I know it's an important topic with many of the councillors. So we had a retender that specific work due to pricing. So anyway, it's been re-awarded. It's a little late going out. The contractor will be starting actually this week on that project. So there's a number of roads that I can share with the council for the brush clearing. That's roadside brush clearing. Capital work went fairly well this year. We had completed those 2 sections on the Trans-Canada Highway. One was a carryover from last year, but there was a little over close to 12 kilometers of 100 series highway that was paved. Local road repaving. I believe the Big Farm project was completed. There was a couple of kilometers there. The Black Rock project down in Medore, they're very near to paving. I'm not sure the schedule yet for Northern to complete that work, but it's there's a number of local gravel road upgrades that are occurring. Forgive me if I miss a road, but I'm going by memory here. There's John Neil George Road and the Branch Road, the Long Hill Road. There's a section on the Kempted Road. I suppose I'm trying to think of, I think that's just coming to memory right now. There is an Armor Rock shoreline protection project that the pre-job meeting was just held last week, and that's going to be for the Beach Crossing Road. So there'll be more additional armor stone placed on the Beach Crossing Road. There's a seal job on the Shore Road down in the Dingwall area on the Shore Road. So that project's been awarded, and I believe the pre-job meeting was held on that. Storm damage, we're still working on storm damage. We've had 3 major storm events since 21. November 21, we had Fiona, and then again on July 23rd. That major flooding that the rest of the province experienced, we also experienced somewhere in the vicinity of about $1.5 million of infrastructure damage. We just opened 2 bridge structures in the Big Bedeck area that seem to be the main area of impact. There's a new panel bridge that was just completed with help from some contractors and our internal staff. That one was a 60-foot new panel bridge installed on the West Big Bedeck Road, and then the little bridge heading into the Iskaban Falls. That project just reopened that bridge last week. Anyway, we're working with our partners at Natural Resources to ensure they get access to the park. I'm not 100% sure what damages was within the park boundaries. Yeah, so that's just a quick overview. Right now, we've been working on winter season for over the last month. So we had postings out for new equipment operators. We're in the screening process there. We're preparing our equipment for winter works. I'm going to estimate probably within the next couple of weeks, you may see us applying salt on some slippery morning. So we start that work late August, early September. So we're working on ensuring that we're ready for our winter preparedness. We do have a schedule of activities that we try to follow to meet the deadlines and set dates to be ready. So that ball is in the air, I guess. Yeah, and then we have, you know, the other normal day-to-day maintenance things that the requests I hear from each one of the counselors, and try to knock as many of those off check boxes to get that work completed. So I'm not going to bother trying to list all those requests that come in, but I'm always, the door is always open, and email or phone calls, whatever's necessary for council. So just a quick overview, Bruce.
Thank
I'll
you,
leave it at
Steve.
that. Yeah.
Thanks, appreciate that. And,
Just
Keith as well.
another comment, if I could. I met last week with Mark Beachy, the chief engineer in Halifax. We discussed projects that will be taking place next year. And
Yeah.
Steve will be probably mention a few of those as we go.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have some, I guess to add to that, what Keith just mentioned here was just as early as the end of last week, there was an announcement that the capital program for next year is very healthy. There's actually been some additional funding applied to the capital program, which will mean at the end of the day, more paving, more gravel road upgrades. And just this morning, I've been receiving some emails about our capital priority list that I work on. So normally how it works is, you know, I listen to council, I collaborate with Keith, residents, the condition of the road, all that stuff's kind of put into a priority list. And the priority lists are broken into different categories. So, and the funding is allotted in each category. So we don't get into too much detail. For example, there's 100 series highway paving. That's the Trans-Canada or the 100 series highway. So there's a category for that. There's some funding in there. I measure off sections of the roads, and I apply those projects as priorities for this geographical area. And each area manager's jurisdictions gets a certain amount of funding for each category. So there's 14 area managers in the province. So, you know, the big picture capital program gets allotted based on kilometer distances that each area manager has in various categories. So we're actually starting to work on this additional funding announcement that just came out last week. So we're going to be adding more candidates or bumping up candidates that may be 1 or 2 years out on the priority list that we keep internally. So one of the big ones I would say, Keith, is the Cabot Trail down here. So I can tell you, I've already prioritized 7 sections of the Cabot Trail that are kind of remaining to be paved. There's 2 sections north of the top of Smoky into the park boundary. There's another section from Effie's Brook up to Cape North. And then we had a 4th section from the big interval section down to the park boundary. And there was another section on Hunter's Mountain in Victoria County. And then there's another section in Lake Elah. So there's 6 or 7 sections out there. And we're going, this is our 2nd year with no Cabot Trail paving, which in the past, the province and the federal government had an agreement about cost sharing for Cabot Trail work, and that agreement had exhausted. So, but we are somewhat of a commitment that we're going to be moving forward, whether the federal funding is available this coming next season, that the province will be selecting a candidate to put forward on their own if they cannot arrange to get the federal agreement in place. Yeah, and then there's Keith. I didn't take all my priorities list with me, but we had talked to Keith earlier about some paving. There was Southside Boulevard was on the list. There was some work in Hamilton, Stewart Road, gravel work. We have a number of other, I have a piece of Route 223 on the list for repaving from the Bear Street Bridge back. Yeah, one little project, I guess, forgot to mention, they're just getting close to finishing a bridge we built in West Harvard this year. It was under capital. So it's been a busy year. There's lots going on. Do we need more work? Yes, there's always a need for more work. And I can tell you that when we do get our budget allotments and there's money there, we do our very best to get that money spent within that fiscal year versus trying to carry work over to the following year. If you carry work over, doesn't get completed, it robs from next year's plans. That money can't be carried over. Actually, it just means you have to drop something the following year if you can't get the work completed in a timely manner. So that seems to be our focus. So anyway.
We're good. Thank you both. We appreciate your comments. And what we'd like to do, as you can appreciate, that highway issues generally dominate our district concerns. And, in fairness as well, it is a provincial issue. You are responsible for the condition of those roads and maintenance and care. So what I'd like to do is just open it up to some of the councillors for some of the specific issues that they have, and maybe some that you mentioned, and maybe it's not. So we'll start with Councillor McDonald. We'll start at the top of that. So we're getting reports that people can or cannot hear.
I just want to make sure, so we take that mic, maybe you can just put it in the middle.
In this one?
Yeah.
So we're just, thank you for that, Leanne. We're just relocating the mic so that we can hear the councillors on this side of the table. We go over to this side of the table, we'll shift it over there as well. So with that, and can you hear us in the back okay? Good. And if you can't, just give us a signal and we'll raise our voices. And I'll remind council as well, we have no mics for the folks in the room. So if you will speak a little louder than usual and a little more clear than usual, I think it would be to the advantage of those that are sitting at the back of the room. Councillor McDonald.
Yes, thank you, Warden, and thank you, gentlemen, for coming this afternoon. You had mentioned the four concerns that I had. You had brought them up already, but just to elaborate on the Effie's Brook paving project, is that something that you foresee happening next year? Or is there a process that goes to tender?
Well, I can tell you, Norman, that one there was on the top of the list as far as priority goes. It was 5 or 6 sections that I mentioned earlier. So I'd say the next candidate that's in pretty poor condition would be that there's a section over through Lake Law or just beyond Mill River that's in really bad shape. And they're all not in the best of shape, as you can see on Smoky and so on. So I don't want to say today, Norman, yes, the project is a goal and the funding is set aside, but the discussions we're having with the chief engineer indicates that they realize that they can't wait for the federal funding agreements if they can't come in place. And they're, Keith, I don't know if you want to add that. When you spoke to the chief engineer, that was your top priority?
Yeah, it was, and he also told me that the deputy minister has committed to making sure that it gets done. If the federal funding is not available, the province will do it.
It's expensive work. It ranges now, like you're talking anywhere from 800,000 to $1 million kilometers now for that widening treatment that we're doing, the paved shoulders, 1.2 meters of trying to achieve. So, and the cost of doing business, I can tell you, it's up across the province with all the projects, capital work across the province.
Well, we can keep our fingers crossed and hope that
it is a priority though.
The government will pull through, because the road is in deplorable shape.
It is.
It really is. And secondly, you had mentioned about the contract was awarded for a chip seal to the Shore Road in South Harbour.
Yeah.
That's good to hear, because that road was in need of that.
Yeah.
And quite a few people calling.
Business owners in there, it's pleased to hear that they're doing that work. Yes.
Also, I touched base a while back with in regard to the letter of comfort there for the.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I know you did have a chance to look at that.
Yeah, I did do some preliminary research on that one, Norman, and without giving too much details on the property or not, but my preliminary research determined that the property in question was what's the proper term, were transferred from the federal side to the property owners.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct. And
Okay.
what I couldn't find in my preliminary research was where did they transfer the little piece of road to us?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they gave it, there's a deed for that, but then just the frontage of the property shown as part of the Neils Harbor Road.
Right.
I'm still thinking it's ours, but I would just want to make sure before I grant a comfort letter for the encroachment.
Right.
That we own that little piece of road, that I want to make sure we have authority over that little piece, so I sent a little blurb off to research,
Good.
just to see if somebody has a record of. Because there was two property owners involved, the province was one and the private
Feds.
resident was the other, so we know about the resident, but just need to confirm
Right.
us, so I'm working on it. And when I get that confirmation, it won't take me an hour or so just to draft up the traditional letter.
Great, I appreciate that.
Yep.
And lastly, I think this is for MLA Bain was, when we have the meeting? When was that meeting? Like? On the 4th of October, we had a meeting with the residents of Shore Road in South Harbor in regard to where the channel blocks up periodically, sometimes in the spring into the winter with ice buildup. And we had a good turnout. There's myself and Council Organ and representatives from the DNR there from BDEC, along with staff was down taking our minutes for us. And we formed a small working group, I do believe, of a few people that are interested. It was always the direction of funding to open the channel up, which is the big concern. But I guess what they're looking for is there some place that the province can direct them or lead them? They're looking for, is there any studies that are out there that where they're initially thinking about moving the channel, but then that brings environment involved, and there's a lot of different steps for that. But then if there's even a, I'm trying to think of where the existing channel is at, they're looking at if there's possibly, there's different discussions of putting a culvert out in that area, if there's any type of, what they're looking for is where can they be directed with the sense of taking the next steps, because the municipality it almost has their hands tied in a sense, because DNR says it's not their territory, although it's on the beach where the waterway comes out. And DFO says it's not their territory because they're only in charge of obviously the fish on that side. So they're looking for direction, and they asked me to reach out to you for areas that they could write or advocate towards the government.
One thing for sure is that I did approach Natural Resources to funding to even open up, because that channel fills in quite often. It has been dredged quite a bit over the years that I've been. And they say it's not their responsibility. So I've started a conversation with the Department of Environment and see if we can get something even under the Coastal Protection Act that's coming forward, because it is a form of coastal protection as well. And we have the same thing happening up here in this beach. So that is one, but we also are trying to get the feds involved in this too, because the importance of the fishery, once you get outside that channel, it's really into navigable waters, which belongs to the federal government. Right? So we're trying to get them to come along here and just make sure that we allow them to catch it. So it's in the works, but I'll see if I can get Mr. Howard to lead and possibly run the houses in session meetings. Something to do, whether it's by video or in person, whatever.
Or even if you could have your office send staff some
Yeah.
different areas where residents of South Harbor can start writing and advocating with that small working group.
Now, I'll meet with Minister Howard first,
Would be appreciated.
and then we'll find out the federal connections as well. And I'll send you the stuff then.
Perfect. And lastly, just want to thank the department for the much needed patching that was done over in Bay St. Lawrence and Fraser Road and up Courtney Road, and some ditching that was done over in Bay St. Lawrence. I've heard great things, and people were pleased with work that was done. So thanks for that.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to staff for short one.
Great.
Appreciate that.
That's it, sir.
Thank you very much, Councilor McDonald, and we're going to go next to Councilor Longman.
Hi, thanks for coming. I'm just was thinking of all the different requests I had, like over time, that some are done, some are not, and say that South Haven looks amazing, and I have seen some ditching also done on the dirt roads in my district, and it looks great. This one is an old one. It's the sign of Plaster Mines and Old Big Harbor Road.
I meant fall for that one.
And they don't get parcels delivered because the road, there's mix up in the road there, and both signs are true. It is Plaster Mines, it's also Old Big Harbor Road. So just wanted to give you a reminder on that one.
I'm bad on that one. I know I did the research, and our road data list shows us as Plaster Mines Road. Civic address finder shows that that's a section of the Old Big Harbor Road. And I believe council completed the motion to change it to Big Harbor Road. Yeah, I'll just have to look.
I think both names need to be on it, like on the sign.
It changes
It
back
change,
to
okay.
Plaster Mines.
Yes, it is Plaster Mines is that direction, but also Old Big Harbor Road is that direction. So to keep everybody happy, it'd be good if both names were on the sign. Yeah. Then I just had a question about who's responsible for, like at the St. Anne's look off. I had a request from someone because there's so much garbage being dumped there.
I got a story for you on that one.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the
It's a
county.
true story.
Nothing in the county I'm not aware. That's next to a road. Anyhow, we're working with the Aboriginal community.
Yeah.
Right now. I actually have a meeting tomorrow in the city with the loop. I'm working with them on Kelly's Mountain as a whole. It's not a full announcement that's out there yet. There's been a little bit of news, I think, put out, but anyway, I met with the group on site back some time ago. We are in the process of doing phases of work. I say phases, some of it's quite extensive, but the look off itself on Kelly's Mountain, I was there actually this morning at 8 o'clock, and I met with one of my supervisors because I wanted to get some work started. But even the guardrail that's brand new, it's graffiti from one end to the other, with everybody from all over North America writing on spray paint all over. There's a fair amount of garbage on the backside of the guardrail, which is low hanging fruit, I call it, that could be cleaned fairly easily. And then at the bottom of the look-offs is where the real problem is. There's some heavy garbage down there. It's 200-300 feet down a steep embankment. Anything is possible to get cleaned up, and we're looking at what options we need to remove some of that heavy garbage. I don't know the answer to prevent it. I don't think littering signs. I don't think graffiti signs.
Cameras, maybe a camera that would catch people doing it.
Yeah, but we're also committed to trying a pilot area at the door look-off side. If you're parked there and you look across the highway, there's a bunch of rock face there, and that seems to be the heaviest area with graffiti. So we're looking at a process that we can cover up that graffiti. And we're hoping on doing some of that this fall. And then there's also plans well, this is outside our department, but the Aboriginal community, there may be some signage and things go on the mountain sometime down the road through Heritage and Cultural Department. I forget the actual in their own department.
Yeah,
So
the constituent that was mentioned this to me, they also mentioned signage for all of the history, like the First Nations history, as well as it was a French settlement at one time too in Englishtown, and there's a lot of history on that mountain that would be nice to have, things like they have on the Cabot Trail. But he also mentioned the trees that people are climbing up onto the guardrail to see the view, because
the Bedore side is good.
Yeah, it's the St. Anne's
is not.
side, yeah.
So we'll have an excavator there probably in the next week that will be mulching those trees. So
Awesome.
that's in the works. Yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
something there very shortly. Yeah. We can only reach so far over, Barbara, and then it's
Yeah.
almost to the point it's actually not safe, other than being harnessed up and being a rock repeller type person.
Yeah.
It's
And you
all
certainly
big, it's
need-
bones, and it's like
Right. And you also need to keep some of the growth for erosion purposes
stabilization,
too, yeah.
Yeah, so we got plans this fall for some more, yeah.
And there was.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
there is ongoing discussion about the signage on that,
Yeah.
because Goose Gap is the main
Yes,
thing.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an ongoing discussion. But I will say this about the graffiti on the rocks, not cheap to remove that.
no,
It's very expensive to remove it. People don't realize it, okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's either one.
Yeah.
It's not something that's cheap to look after, but Steve's workers can remove it today and tomorrow it's back there again.
Mhm.
It's just-
So we're looking at options for signage, like the tourist stuff.
yeah,
Like, we used to have garbage bins on the lookout when I first started 25 years ago.
Yeah.
What happened with garbage bins was, I can't blame it on motor homes or whatnot, but people would take their household garbage there and dump it in the bins. And when the bins became overwhelmed, then garbage bags start getting dropped at the lookout, knowing that we would pick it up once
Yeah.
a week. So then we turned into like a garbage collection thing,
Mhm.
and if those bags got busted open, then you had twice as much mess. So those bins have been removed for a long time now. But when I first started 25 years ago, there used to be bins there,
Mhm.
and it just people were taking advantage of it, not or getting there at the middle of the night and over the embankment to stand at the bottom, 250 feet below, right?
Mhm.
There's washing machines there. I've been on site and seen things that, but we're working on getting it cleaned up.
Yeah, then there was the, I think maybe this was done on the Oregon Road, there was some culverts that were
Yeah,
showing.
we're
I didn't see
working
it.
down there in the Bear Squaw area, and I'll give you some updates. So, we did get out to Rear Bear Squaw, up the Rock Rose area
Oh,
last
great.
week. So the backhoe and the crew was down there. We put in a couple of culverts. We did some gravel patching. I think today they're hauling in some topsoil material to work on that other area over by the bridge and so on.
Mhm.
So that's underway. We're over the Meadow Road. There was a couple of little washouts out there in the driveway that was impacted. They were working on that last week. And so they're down in the North River area, trying to, scratch off a bunch of little list of things there, like the crews in the area before fall. So yeah, they're getting a few things done down there, Barbara.
The one on the Meadow Road, he said, that's like 5 times now that his driveway's washed out, and he
Yeah,
thinks that culvert needs to go somewhere before his place.
Yeah, we need to go in there, like, there's a couple sections on the Meadow, and I don't know why it's happening. I live on that road, I know it quite well, and supervisor for many years down there too, and whatever's changed, it just seems that the brooks have changed, or something's changed, that the water's coming over places it never used to, and we're finding it in other parts of the jurisdiction we own. In other words, a brook maybe 100 feet in the woods changes its course, and then the water pops over 100 feet down the road from where it used to, and now you've got a problem down there. So my plan is to, there's another flooding on the far end of the road. Culverts washed out twice on us now in the last year, which never washed out there before. So we're trying to do assessment of the brooks, the water, make sure the pipes are sized, the proper sizing. So yeah, we're trying to get all that evaluated. So instead of just throwing a culvert in it, then the next big rain, it washes out again. So we're trying to get it right. So we are looking into that.
Is there any update on New Harris? I know New Harris, was in pretty bad shape farther down
we're
there.
to do some work in New Harris. We did the Capital Road gravel road program there a couple of years back on the first 2 kilometers, and then the older part, it's reclaimed asphalt, so I know the guys were there to do some patching. I haven't heard anything back from resident that we normally hear from. So I asked supervisors who then gets the work done there. So hoping that they were in there. It's hard for me to get so many requests for me to know the status of every one of them. I got a pretty good handle on most of them. The Stewart Road and the lower portion of Campbellton are on the capital gravel road program for next year. So we've been kind of, maintaining to acceptable level until we can get the more robust capital work done to the road. So that's in the works. We did have, I believe we had a little bit of gravel patching in Campbellton, some ditching that was done in there. And I know we've been trying to get the grader in there as much as we can regularly. So, but hopefully this new improvement for next year will really.
That gravel road program for Stewart will complete the Stewart Road.
Yeah, it will.
And I think the plan is for 5 kilometers on the panel.
Yeah, and that'll get pretty close to the end. Yeah.
That's great. My list is getting shorter. I only have 2 more things here. So in Tarbetdale, Rear Bearswa, is that what it's called now?
Yeah.
You were going to call the Department of the Environment
Yes.
about the bridge.
Yeah, we got clean up. I just got some funding secured for that. Some of the clean up of the old bridge there. So I'm waiting on a visit with Karen Madden with the environment to see if they're going to be okay for me to pull that material out of the swamp. That's the plan, yeah.
And last but not least, on roads, in Wreck Cove, I don't know how many years it is since it was done. It was all repaved, but it seems like the whole top layer is peeling off in spots. And the one guy, he wrecked his car. It was a red car, luckily, but it was a tourist that he couldn't drive it. He had to get a tow truck come and.
No. This is just a section there, just pretty well near the
between the Wreck Cove store,
the dancing
the dancing moose
up to towards
to my place. Yeah.
So we did put away some money for the rim asphalt patching this year. It hasn't been done yet, but we are still planning on getting that. I think next week. There is asphalt funding set aside for that, and I identified that back last year that. Yeah, we need to get some patching down on that section. So we're still planning this year to make sure we get down there. It's going to have to be soon as the weather's deteriorating on this too, right? So.
And then I just had one other thing, and this is for you, Keith. It's not road related. It's just a reminder about this heat pump. It is a business, a B&B that. Because they want everyone to change out from oil to heat pumps. And I think she put 3 heat pumps in her business, and she's getting the runaround on getting any funding back from that. So just if you could check into that.
Okay, yeah. Did you go through environment with that? There's under the application, right? There's 2 different programs. There's the provincial.
Yeah.
And then there's the Greener Homes program, which is the federal.
Okay, so
we have to find out which one.
Greener Homes is federal?
Greener Homes is a federal program. It's sort of cost share with the province, but the province has its own rebate system too.
Okay.
Based on income.
And there's another provincial one.
Yeah.
I know she did go through a program and was assured that she would get money back, but has not received anything back. And it's a B&B on the Murray Road. The Murray Road. Used to be Yvonne LeBlanc that owned it, and now it's Tamea. That's her name, Tamea.
I think she might have called the office this past.
I think she did, yeah. So I just wanted to.
The girls have been working on it now.
I told her I'd mention it to you, and that's it. Now I don't have any more district concerns.
Thank you very much. You doubled down today. So we're going to move on to Councilor McNeil.
Watch out.
So we have the mic, we've relocated it. So when you're done, Paul, if you just move it over to Councilor Orban.
With the subject.
Go ahead, sir. I'm sure you have a short list.
Just a short list here. Thank you, Warden, and thank you, MLA Keith Bain and Steve for coming
I'd
today.
ask you to speak up a little.
For coming today, and I'll put that away too. No, thank you for the work that has been done this summer. Some patching through Washington and Hazeldale. More has to be done
Yes,
in the coming months and probably years.
yes.
You mentioned a couple of jobs, the gravel roads, John Neal George Road. Do you know when that will be started?
Well, I think they get in there for the brush cutting. And I think the majority of the gravel road program, I shouldn't say it's behind, but the contractor, Northern is, all of those roads with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they seem to be behind a little bit, but the intent is to complete the work this fall.
Okay.
And I think they did some brush cutting, some roads, they started some drainage improvements on. Yeah, so there's certainly a push needed on those roads. So.
And again, it's good to hear that the possible paving for Route 223 from the bridge.
Yeah, I have it on a priority list, Paul, under routes and trunk local road repaving. I didn't take it with me now, and maybe a year or two old, but I have a list. And my other plan is, and maybe jumping into one of your questions, like the Little Narrows Road from the ferry up and the Washabuck Road. I got to start somewhere to get those local paved roads.
Yeah, like a maintenance program, at least from maintenance paving, at least from Hazeldale to McKay's Point, maybe.
No, exactly. And, you know, the funding that we've been given the last number of years for local paved roads such as those, they're not a trunk or route highway. We're getting about 5-ish kilometers a year in the whole county, right? Which is not a lot of paving.
No.
And I have a priority list that has somewhere about 70 or 80 kilometers of road. So we are making big improvements on capital funding of the present government, I must say. So this new program that just talked about last week, more money, hopefully that allows us to bump some of those roads up more quickly. But in the short term, we're kind of stuck with it on a maintenance perspective to do our best to patch as best we can. And like I said earlier, we put out high level 70, 80 tandem truckloads of hot asphalt out of Sydney and or Port Hawkesbury where we purchased the asphalt. So it's a struggle, I must admit. So the guys are trying to do their best to prioritize as much of the poor areas as possible with the funding that we have.
I know with the patching, and thank you, it has been done twice on the Gillis Point Road through to Grass Cove.
Yeah.
But there's holes there that just put patch in. The night they put the patching in, it's gone.
Okay.
And something has to be looked at, and the far end of the Grass Cove beach too has to be looked at too.
Okay.
And again, we've talked, hopefully the shoulders of the roads will be repaired this
Joe
week.
emailed you this morning. I seen the supervisor that he's starting the crew there this week to get around and get those shoulders that you identified. Yeah.
One of the major areas in my district, and everybody's talking about it, is that gypsum outcrop in James.
Yeah, Jamesville. Yeah.
If that isn't repaired soon, something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it's going to be repaired. You might have to dig to China, but or put a bridge in. That's the only way to fix that.
If you look at our shoulder, it's the same.
Oh, we have
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'd like to have 10 cents for every ton of asphalt that's put in that hole.
But it seems to be dropping every week now, so something has to be done.
Gypsum probably breaking down, but I think the best thing to do, Paul, I mean, I can organize some kind of geotechnical study of some sort. I've been around a few gypsum projects before where on the Trans-Canada, it's not related to where you're at. We had some trouble in Big Harbor. We had a consultant come in, drill around 30 some odd boreholes for geotechnical study information, and they gave us a repair method of digging it out to a certain depth and placing some geotextile in there and some some coarse aggregate, roll it and put it in layers. And the bottom closing remarks from the consultant, which costs $40,000 or $50,000, said that there's a high likelihood that subsidence will reoccur at this location, even though we did the repair, and it did stay quite, you know, the area. Yeah, and it did stay, but you can just faintly see a little shallow dip starting it. But I think that's the best route. I mean, for me to estimate how deep to go and what the repair method should be, I'm not. My experience is one thing, but I don't have the technical background to say.
Yeah, but it has to be.
It has to be looked at. Yeah, no, I'll prioritize that.
Again, you mentioned the Little Naris Road. Is there a possibility from the ferry to at least Wayne Mackenzie's in Hazeldale that being brought up as a series, 100 series highway again? It used to be when.
I did speak to in my meeting with the chief engineer about that, especially with the plant starting up again. There's a lot of heavy traffic because it was classified as 100 series at one time.
At one time.
Yeah, different classes of road, it would be called what they call an all-weather road. In other words, during spring weight restrictions, we don't close it. So most basic roads are 41.5 tons. There's the maximum weight of the truck. But there's other roads that can go up as high as almost 50,000 with 49,500 kilograms. So there is a process to have somebody in head office look at that. The big thing they look at is there any bridge structures along the route? But anyway, I'll make a note to verify that. If it was all weather at one time, I don't know why I wouldn't be able to revert back to that.
Yeah, it was, and actually it went the other way too, right up to Matheson's.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Also good news, the developer did put a boat launch in over Washington.
Oh, good.
So that's one. And I hear that people are happy with that.
Yeah.
Signage throughout the district has to be looked at again.
Yeah.
Most of the signs are down. Yeah.
There's an issue with signage, and it's not just locally. You get some areas that are very good. I find some of the crews are very conscious of signs, and when they get knocked over or they go missing, they're replaced. I'm going to recognize the crews in this area. I find they do a good job. So saying this with lots of respect, there's some senior guys that have been there a long time, and they pretty well know where every sign is. Bring in the new people, the sign falls over in the hours that they don't, like even new supervisors. But anyway, we've recognized as a department that signing is we're falling behind on a maintenance scorecard, I guess, if you want to say that. So we're looking at different options. One of them may be to select some jurisdictions and go with something we should be doing. Is when we're doing a capital project, I'll give you an example. Like when we paid Cape Smoky there 2 years ago, or whenever, 3. Well, one of my things was, well, why aren't we replacing all of them? Why are not all the signs being replaced? We're putting new guardrail in, we're putting new asphalt, we're putting in, a new bridge, we're putting in everything, but we're not looking at the signage. So I was able to secure some funding through that project, but then I had to wait for the district traffic authority guy to come down to assess the mountain. And when he was finished, there was like 45 signs that were never there before over a 3-kilometer section. Don't quote me on the numbers, but there was chevrons, curb warning signs, and this that were never there before. And so we gotta be looking at that during capital work, and we need to work hard at. One of the recommendations is with the RIM funding. I normally get a contingency, and I can spend that on any activity I want. I'm thinking is to say, well, this year we need to focus on spending some of that funding on getting signs up to speed. That's just my thoughts, but yeah.
And just 2 other things. brush and mowing.
Yeah.
Again, this year, the sides of the road were mowed over home.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell they
Yeah.
were mowed. Yeah, and that's 2 years in a row. And people basically, there's no other place for the residents to walk but along the road at home. And now it's just all grown in. They're walking down the road.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. I wonder next year, could there be a better
I
and
know.
earlier in the year too?
Yeah, we
We
need
see-
new mowers, what we need.
Yeah.
That's what I need is. a new
You go
mower.
along the Trans-Canada Highway and there's 5 new mowers in every ditch.
Yeah.
It seems like
Yeah.
clearing. Yeah.
Board's in good issue.
Yeah. And
Private sector.
we can't even get a push mower to do
No,
the
but
right
but I
job.
can tell you this award of the brush cutting, Paul, there's quite a bit of cutting assigned for Blue Narrows,
Okay.
which will be from the shoulder in 5 meters, 15 feet in any growth.
Along the Gillis Point Road too. There's a
Yeah, I
lot.
forget to, I
Yeah,
didn't take,
Hector's Point. It's,
but there was quite a quantity of brush clearing,
okay.
yeah, assigned for there, but making those mowing.
And just one other thing, and I know you probably don't have much to do with it, the signage for the ferries.
Yeah,
And
I'm ordering
we-
those signs, I'm looking after that. one
It's,
too.
oh, are you? Okay, because it's been
See
a
what I told
problem.
you, everything comes to my desk, right?
It's been a problem, like it's only
Yeah.
that little sign there, and when the
Yeah.
ferry's down,
There's
nobody
5
sees it.
signs are being ordered.
Okay.
I just got the information on the size and the lettering on them last week, so, yeah, they'll be ordered. 4 of them are in the Ashfield area that have to be erected there. There's the one that's in our
Now,
area.
is there blinking lights and stuff?
Well, he's
Or-
not going with electronic
No.
at this time, but we're gonna replace the
I tried,
signs.
I tried.
Okay,
So, but new signs should be up, Paul, I'm gonna say, as soon as they come in, we're gonna jump on them, so.
okay. That's it.
So thank you for that, Councilor McNeil, and both Mr. McDonald and Mr. Payne. And we just need to keep the mic down there. We're good, I think.
Yeah, Ariel, just right there is good,
Yeah.
because the owl will pick up some too.
Okay.
So now we're gonna come up to Deputy Warden, Daphne, please.
Okay.
Thanks, thanks, Steve.
Be no money left, Jack.
Couple of quick ones for you.
Yeah, okay, Larry.
Steve, we've already had a discussion on the bridge at the head of the harbor, but maybe just bring everybody up to speed on what the plans are there.
Yeah, I knew this would be a hot one for you, Larry, and the community. So we started the project with good intention there this summer, earlier on, and not making excuses, but we got kind of pulled away on a couple other projects. There was the 2 bridges out in Big Bedeck that we got pulled towards, and there were some other water course alteration stuff that had Department of Fisheries and Environmental deadlines to complete by the end of September. So anyhow, there should be crews there sometime next week. We're going to go to a traffic light system. Because once they start opening up the road to try to close it back in on a daily basis, it's not productive. So yeah, so we're going to stay with whatever scope of work is decided by the bridge engineer. Will be there to complete that this fall. So that's on the books over the next 2 to 3 weeks, the ongoing work. So that's the latest.
Good to hear that one. I guess guardrail.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who's going to weigh in just by Castle Rock.
Yes.
Yeah. 10 years ago, there was an accident there and 2 posts were broke off. They've been replaced.
Okay.
Just lately, probably 2 months ago, we had a truck actually go through there, the guardrail, and it hasn't been replaced. I'm just wondering, other jurisdictions, when an accident happens,
Yeah.
on parts of Canada, for example, if there's an accident, what they will do is actually have the eastern fence or whoever come in and do the repair. The bill is sent to Parks Canada. Parks Canada then sends it to the actual occupant of the vehicle, the
Yeah.
insurance, and the insurance actually pays for it.
And
It's
we
done.
do the same thing.
Okay.
Most MBAs, any infrastructure. Like there was a brand new piece just on that new pavement on Highway 105 last week, and it's all flattened over there. The E-guards are all, somebody went off the road. But yeah, the supervisor's role is to gather that information from the motor vehicle accident report with the police authority, pass that on to our risk management group that gathers up the insurance company, and yeah, we go after the billing. So yeah.
So any expectation will that be repaired for winter?
I'll have to check with Glenn. Sometimes we hear about the accidents and other times we don't, although we should be noticing. the policing authority has changed a little bit, though. There's some that don't want to give us copies of the motor vehicle accidents. We're struggling there a little bit, but at least we can just get the name of the insurer, because we may not even be called out on some of those, and then we'll notice the guardrail down, and it's like, okay, oh, there must have been an accident on the weekend, and then we start the process of tracking down. But yeah, well, I'll talk to Glenn about how soon we can get that one buttoned up, Larry. Yeah,
It's just a dangerous turn.
it is.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you go over there.
Yeah.
Look at that guardrail, you probably would have been fine. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great to look into that. Courtesy roads.
Yeah.
When there's 2 courtesy roads in Ingonish that. I'm just wondering, yeah, if we've decided anything as far as.
No, we're gonna plow it.
Okay.
We'll do our best, Larry. You know, they're not public roads owned by the province, but we've been plowing them, and once or twice a year, putting the grader across, and just, we're gonna continue. I guess there was a little frustration there earlier on about, you know, the road was getting deteriorated to the point that there was massive puddles in it, and there was nothing there for the grader to try to work with, and really that's the obligation of the tenants or the residents that live on the road to provide those gravels and stuff the province wouldn't, but we're going to stick with that program for plowing, and they should be okay this winter. Yep.
Okay, look, that's
Yeah.
good news, good news. I should say, I want to thank you first of all for all the work that was done this summer.
Yeah, thanks.
Snow to the shoulders.
Thanks, Larry.
Done a
Yep.
really good job.
I'll pass that along for sure.
Deuces Bridge,
Yeah.
hopefully that will solve. That's
Yeah.
been a long standing.
Long
issue.
one. Took us
For
2 years, but
It's been very
yeah.
frustrating, so hopefully that's done, but just please thank the crew, and I've noticed a couple of young guys have been hired on.
Yeah.
A little bit more work getting done, so it's good to see.
Yeah.
We talked about brush clearing. Don't know if we have it on the list or not, but the pro subdivision, Highland Street, Maple Street.
Yes,
those
okay.
areas,
Yeah.
Really growing in quite bad. You can't
Okay.
even see the shoulders anymore in
Okay.
places, so, and it does need some patching also, but again, just want to take a look at it. We
Yeah.
Appreciate it. The other one is Rocky Point Road. A lot of work's been done there.
Yeah.
Some brush cutting, there was some ditching, but
Yeah.
I don't know if any gravel's been added to that road, or there's been any build up.
Not sure if that one was on the list, Larry, to be honest with you. If not, we can get it on a list for maybe next year.
Yeah, I think it was on the list, originally was noted that it was gonna be brush cut, ditch and gravel.
We had Rocky Point Ditch and Roper's Loop had some work on it. Brush cutting on Rocky Point, I believe that was completed. Rocky Point gravel.
Yeah.
There is money allotted for gravel, a little bit of gravel there, Larry. I'll have to change, like I mentioned earlier, we're about 80%. One of the struggles we're having down here is sourcing gravel
I understand.
in the area, but there is a contractor that's going into production with gravel as we speak. I think we took every ton we can get our hands from the contractor locally, and but that may be the delay. But I'll talk to Glenn about the Rocky Point. Yeah.
One of the challenges that obviously exists with the Rocky Point Road is, doesn't get much sunshine either.
Well, we cut with the big excavator there this year to try to cut back and open the road up for sunlight and everything, and give us a better look for drainage and stuff. So I think it turned out really well.
Well, the ditching, I think, is gonna help, because the foliage nowhere from the modern road.
Yeah.
And you also hear of boat hauling coming out of there too. It's spring of the year. It's obviously
Yeah.
a challenge for
Yeah.
them too.
Yeah, there's a number of fishermen in there doing that and stuff like that. But no, that's the main ones. And again, thanks for the work that's been done, Steve. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Larry.
it. Thanks, Keith, for your
Appreciate it.
support on it also. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. We're gonna move on to Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Warden. I'll be quick. Just like to emphasize what the warden said at the beginning, that roads are actually a provincial responsibility. But in my 20 years around this table, I would say 75 to 80% of the calls have been moved roads.
Yep.
Because we're there. I mean, Keith gets calls too.
Then I got a call, Fraser Patterson told me to call you.
And I'd like to thank Steve, because over the years, I think you can see around the table, we've got a good working relationship with you.
Well, thank you.
We know you're not a magician.
Yeah.
You have certain constraints, but you do the best you can, I think, for the residents. And again, I'd like to pass on congratulations. I think Keith, we had an email exchange earlier about the staff.
Yeah.
I mean, the staff shouldn't have to answer an email on Sunday.
Oh, yes.
That's what they do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, I just want to highlight these
Thank you.
signs, Stephen, and we've had
Yeah.
this conversation.
Yeah.
The signs that are knocked down.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Black Rock Road, you mentioned the Side next year.
Yeah.
Maple Hill Drive, is that on the schedule for
Well,
next year too?
Not on the paving, Keith, or Fraser, and I know it's a hot one. We did do, I did put aside a fair amount of asphalt patching under rim. So we can look at it as a candidate for paving. I don't know. Ideally, it would have been great if we would have got it this year when we're doing Black Rock, but we spent every cent that we had on local road repaving and Black Rock and Big Farm, and there was no more funding, but I can see if I can get it on the list. It's not a very long road, but
No, that's right.
but I think that it's quite a bit of substantial patching up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other section of Kent Head Road to Steve, Steele's Pass Road to actually the Madison Road, that whole section. It's funny, I got in a conversation with a couple that live on the dirt carpet road, and I made the comment that the dirt carpet road is in good shape.
Yeah.
I said, the road is in good shape, and they looked at me like, because the pavement part is not in good shape.
No, and we're working towards that.
Grading is another issue, of course.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Grading,
always
yeah.
been there. You talk about brush clearing. I saw today a site on the Calabash Road.
Yeah.
3 or 4 trucks, asphalt, I believe, lined up, waiting to go to work. So is that through you, Steve, or through the power?
No, that would be at the utility company.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we always said that we need to be doing a better job about communicating with each other and
So did you know they were there today?
no, I did not, no.
And I just happened to drive by. and
So
saw
the
it.
signs are up and everything, at the
Yeah.
highway grades
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
And then finally,
Go ahead.
a continuing topic of conversation is the seal on the bridge.
Yeah.
So is there any update, anything happening?
Well,
behind the scenes or
there was,
whatever?
I'm not directly involved. I have been involved with some discussions with our structures group. There's been a lot of assessment over the last couple of years by a consultant. There's no panic that the bridge is going to fall down at this point, but in a long look ahead, I guess, or for future planning, the province has to start looking at what may be needed there in another 10 or 15 years. Part of the report recommended some maintenance to be done on the bridge. And the same consultant is kind of blocking up some maintenance activities that they're for tendering purposes. So you'll probably see some work on the bridge over the next year to 2 on a maintenance perspective. I'm not 100% sure about the life of the bridge, but there's work from the foundations to the top, you know, painting and some structural minor repairs and that type of thing. And the surface has to be looked at. The surface is getting bad. That was one of my recommendations, was we should be looking at repaving, but now we're getting kind of patches right through to the concrete deck that was put on there. So that's a sign to me that, you know, we don't get on that over the next year or 2. Yeah. So.
And you said we don't know the life, but there is a life.
No, exactly.
The bridge is 63 years old
Yes,
now.
right.
Yeah, so
Almost as old
the consultant firm, I don't deal directly personally myself, but our structures group did. Yeah, they're advising the province. They got to start thinking big picture stuff here for that bridge. I don't know what year it is, though. Fraser, I'd be guessing if I gave you one. Yeah.
And again, thank you, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome.
And like I said earlier, either phone calls or emails, you're always responding anyway.
Yeah.
And the most part, you know, things do get done. So
Try to do our best.
again, I'd like to thank you for that.
Yep.
And I'd like to thank Keith too for being here. And he can take this back to the provincial people. And you know, it's interesting talking to tourists. And one of the concerns they have on the roads here.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't know what bad impressions, I guess, we could be making with, you know, one thing that Paul talks about, Iona. If the tourist wrecks their car on that, they're not going to have a good impression.
Yeah, well, I think of different things. We get claims in, and I'm not happy when I see them. But there was one gentleman, beautiful motorcycle, damaged the rim on a bike from Ontario and on the Seal Island Bridge.
Yeah.
And he had a trailer, his bike back to Ontario, and it was not a pleasant trip for him. And it only takes one bad experience to spread out of all the good experiences tourists have here. Yeah, they're the ones that are remembered or spread back where they're from, right?
Exactly.
So anyhow.
Thanks.
Just one other thing, Fraser, the Kemp Head Road, the erosion that's taking place there is going to be looked after.
Yes, that's on our list. We have a number of areas identified.
The graph, that just talked
Yeah.
about the, yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. We'll move on to Councillor Morgan.
Best or second last. There's no money left for us.
Yeah.
Any shoulder brush cutting, ditching going on in District 7?
It should be, Jackie. I'd have to check, or I can send you the list if you want.
Yeah, you can do that.
I can. We got some culvert work in Basin Lawrence. I think they did that. No, that's not your A. Sorry, you're mad at me. It looks like we have some work down there in the White Point area.
Okay.
Nothing in the Neils Harbor area jumping out at me. Courtney, that's 8.
Mhm.
Snow is in the niche.
Anything like the White Point Road from New Haven into White Point Smelt Brook area?
Yeah, well, they just have the White Point
Okay.
Road there with some
Okay.
funding for brush clearing. So I'll talk to Glenn about that to see if we can get on top of that for you, Jackie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shoreline protection for New Haven.
Okay. More robust than what we did in Fiona.
Yes,
More stone.
yes.
Nothing in the immediate plans, but
Okay.
not to say I couldn't look at shoreline. I know we had done quite a bit during Fiona. But
Yeah, you want to look in Neils Harbor there too, right in front of where the Highland Manor is.
yes. Okay. That,
Also the bridge by the fire hall in New Haven. Remember what we were talking about?
yeah. I talked to the bridge engineer there numerous times. And he's supposed to give me a calculation about flow calculations about the size of that bridge. And then he talked about raising it.
Mhm.
I guess I'll go back to him again, Jackie, and see what I can find out for you. If you want to give me a chance to do that for
Yes,
you again.
please.
Yeah.
Bone of my contention.
No,
No parking
No
sign
parking in
for
White
White Point.
I don't know. I have no defense on that one. Me personally. I've been advocating for you.
I know. Have to
And
bring it up
request.
again.
No, I understand.
There are some road changes coming forward too. About speed limits and parking and stuff like that. So the minister is supposed to be saying something if she hasn't already said it. But I'll follow up with her this
Okay.
week.
Yeah, and I'll talk to Bernie again. I'm not making excuses for Bernie. He's behind on a half a dozen or a dozen things of mine, and the poor guy's got from Antigonish to Sydney. It's too big an area for all the traffic requests that come in and the assessments. So all these bigger sites like traffic signals you see on a construction site or detour routes you see and all that, like a parade, a request for a no passing zone, change for speed limit, every little thing got to go through him. And in fairness to him, I just don't think he has enough resources to cover the area that he has to cover. He really needs some help.
And I think that's one of the reasons for the changes that are coming forward.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll remind him again. I think he was trying to get down there, Jackie, and I'm quite sure he told me a month or two ago that he was heading there sometime this summer, but I haven't seen any signing plans for no parking. Okay.
as you both may know, the beach in Neils Harbor has become, it's popular, very popular, but we're having problems with the residents trying to get out of their driveways and getting in and out of Neils Harbor because they're parking on both sides of the road. Is there anything you can do? Can you look at that for safety
Sure thing.
safety reasons? Maybe a little parking on the side or?
Yeah, we'll have a look at that for you. It'd be nice to go on property online, see who the property owners or something like that down there to see if there's some way. Sometimes Bernie might restrict parking on one side of the road, so they're not parallel parking on both sides and things, but we'll have a look there.
Because it's a blind crest hill there too.
Okay. All right. Blind crest, okay.
And usually a lot of people don't follow the 50 speed limit there either. So.
No.
Patching, you said there's any chance of any asphalt patching on Ocean View Drive?
Ocean View? I can certainly have a look at that. I know that Glenn has a day or two left of asphalt down this way, so I can certainly put that in for you too, Jackie.
One more thing, I think was brought up a while ago, highway camera on North Shore. In area.
So I have, I reached out to the council to try to see where their priorities were, just trying to.
I think we had two areas.
Yeah, there was Smoky and I forget the second one. So I had to forward those in. So there's two areas kind of, I shouldn't say competing, but there's two counties. We recognize there is a need for another camera down here. So I just want to, it's like prioritizing paving roads. I want to get our lists in. So they're in to head office and they're aware of the sites. And then we're working on the other side of the island in the Shetty Camp area. We've had a number of blowovers with trucks and vehicles over there. So there was a slight shift in priority over there to the fact that we're physically losing like camper vans and things are getting blown over there in the Suez. So I know we're working on a weather camera and some wind sensor equipment for the western side, but I'm doubtful we're going to see anything until sometime next year. But I will find out what's happening on this side of the island because I know they did reach out to me and say, where are my priorities?
So where are the two spots that you're?
For here?
Yeah.
I know there was Top of Smoke, it was one, and I'm just going by memory. I'd have to really check.
Halfway up the North Shore.
Halfway up the, oh yes, there was a civic address on the North Shore,
Yeah, you gave that one, right?
13,000 something. I remember looking it up and finding out where it was at.
Where Perry McKinnon lives now.
Yeah, that's right, Larry.
Oh,
Thank you.
there, yeah.
That's
Just before French River.
Yeah.
that's a higher priority than the one on Top of Smoke.
Yes, Tom Smoky's
Oh,
the best road
yeah.
for us.
Yes.
So so that people will know to be able to look at the highway cam.
Yeah, and I added that in my comments about, you know, the North Shore, that we normally have trucks on Smoky during winter events. This may be the better of the two choices. So, but I will check on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple little things that
Yeah.
I will email you. on,
Sure
but,
thing, Jackie.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You're welcome,
Councilor.
Jack.
One thing for
Yeah.
Keith. Keith, when we're talking about the channel there, is there a climate change funding? Just somebody brought that up at the
No,
meeting.
there is a survey going on concerning coastal protection and everything, but I'll check with the Minister of Climate Change Funding. I'm not aware of this at this
I
point.
think
but-
it was just brought up to us and I had it in my notes. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. And just before I add a couple short ones, Steve.
Yeah.
But I want to, Leanne has one that she would like to mention. So I'll
Sure
turn it over to Leanne first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Steve, I'm sure you've heard us mention the 100th anniversary of the Cabot Trail
Okay.
coming up in 2032. We talked about this at a
Yes,
council session back in August last year, I believe.
with the deputy and the chief engineer.
We also
that
talked
one.
about it at
Yeah.
that meeting,
Yeah.
yes. So we are trying to bring the Cabot Trail up to a higher standard, almost like the vision that they had 100 years ago.
Yep.
We have an advisory committee set up for it, and we're wondering if the Department of Public Works could have a meeting with that advisory committee. So if we're looking for a higher standard for the Cabot Trail, perhaps the building of it now or any road work that's being done could be discussed at that, that meeting.
Sure thing, yeah. Like, shouldn't be, like, we know where our priorities are over the next 4 to 5 years, like which sections that we want to get work done on. So it's just the type of treatment you're thinking that they want, like the wider road,
Well,
or
there's
the
lots of
paved
different
shoulders.
things that we're
Yeah.
looking at. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, we can certainly arrange that.
A world-class
Yeah.
destination.
So I have just a couple of quick ones as we wrap up here. We'll ask the public if they have some in a moment. But Steve, I have a real problem with this traffic control officer. That position is severely undermanned or underfunded. I'm not sure which, but as you're aware, even to get a crosswalk in the village of Deck and 4 requests right now. One of them is 18 months. It's down to school. We've dedicated some money to build a curb there. So that the kids, the 3 or 4 kids now can have found across the street. And we've been waiting 18 months for them to put the crosswalk here or there. We got to do something.
Yeah. We get beat up, me and you, in the front lines over these issues. Yeah.
And so I don't know if the message is not getting to the traffic control officer and it's got to go up the chain.
No, I think he's there. I get all the requests that come in from everybody. You wouldn't believe the amount of traffic. Everybody, you know, has their own personal ideas of what signs should be up, and this should be changed, and this should be whatever. This is what needs to be done. But as you know, I don't have the authority to put up a sign. If I put up an incorrect sign or something, and especially if it's a regulatory sign that could buy, you know, God forbid if something ever happened and they start investigating who decided about that sign. But we had a summer student even down there, Bruce, counting cars sitting there all day. So when I'm asked to collect data, I send somebody out to collect it and I send it off. So I'm not blaming Bernie. He's not here. And it's not fair to him.
Necessarily blaming Bernie either. It's got to go up the line to somebody that this is just not meeting the needs. And it's just holding up projects like that. Could potentially lead to an accident.
I had gotten emails from the people in the area too that were forwarded.
It's just got to be better funded, better manned, better, whatever the case is. I know the issue is not here. You and I visited the site several times. You know, and at one point we just be able to put in a request for the sidewalk, and if it was okay with you guys, it was painted in the next week. Year and a half, you know, especially where we allocated funding to improve that. That whole experience, so to speak. The other issue is repetitive, and I'm going to continue to Harper Way because with Harper Way, this is 2003 is reduction of speed limit in Tim Hortons. And again, we filed that thick on it, but our contention has always been to reduce the risk. Is the only way that you're going to do that is by reducing the speed limit. So just reinforcing the message that we have. And the last point I want to make, and probably commit this as our MLA, is that we're on record that we have no interest in taking over the provincial organization. So I
supplies.
Just want to make that there. I had people, you know, there's information out there that we are taking over. We've made it very clear we have no interest. We are absolutely opposed to that. I can't be any more clear. Enough said. So I do want to, there are a number of people here that, I'm sorry, and there's one other, we have it on second premise. Property,
and I've been pushing the supervisor. I'm going to promise you, he's got to get the beaver dam out of that culvert underneath the TransCanada. And I mean, God love Joe. He's got the bridge crew and he's looking after 2 areas of his own. But I mean, I'll be talking to him again. I don't care if he hires a contractor to do it. Just got to get it done.
2 months we've had that.
So and the planning commission's been calling
and the traffic control, I'm going to leave that with you as our MLA. We said those highways issues are, and that is a highway issue. And There has been some noted improvements at the school location. I absolutely agree, and thank you for that, Steve, but we just got to get it to the next level.
Yeah, get to the next level.
And we've allocated, as mentioned, funds to help improve that as well.
Yeah.
So is there, we have a number of people here from the public. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. McDonald and or our MLA Dane in regards to the provincial public works issue? Remarks, requests, where we have two people, so we'll start with you. And you just tell us your name, please, and then I think Mr. Smith has that as well. Yes.
Hi, I'm Nancy Williams. Are you Steve?
I am.
Nice.
Yes.
I just had a question for Larry at the last council meeting, and I think we had some response through email.
Yeah.
About
the beach crossing.
Beach crossing.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And I apologize, I had to step out with this little munch.
That's okay.
So you guys might have addressed this
It's your
already.
priority.
We did discuss that turn there, and there's a bit of confusion
Yes.
with the wording of Beach Crossing Road. Still seeing a lot of non-local traffic coming through there.
Yes.
A lot of people lost looking
Yeah.
for beach. Actually, I was at for a walk last night, and I had a couple that were confused and looking
Yes.
for beach. I think even if it is possible, some no parking signs could be useful there.
Yes.
I was coming through last week, and there was that, I don't know, there must have been a Miata convention somewhere around the
Yeah.
trail, but there was about 6 or 7 cars just kind of stopped right in the turn.
Yes.
And
As you come onto the beach area.
as you, on the main road.
Oh, just right off Cap Trail.
So,
Yeah.
across from the Main Street restaurant.
Okay. Yeah.
So what's happening is if you're trying to turn in or out.
Yeah.
It's reducing your visibility.
Mhm.
And then it's kind of a blind turn coming from the NSLC around the turn.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So I think if it is possible, I don't know what
Yeah.
the rules and regulations are, but even if there were some no parking or, kind of
On the Cap Trail.
right on that turn. So before the intersection and after the intersection,
Okay.
where people
Yeah.
are stopping.
Okay.
There is a no exit sign,
Yes.
and somebody did put a little no beach access sign.
Okay.
But I think some no parking.
Okay.
Would be helpful.
Is some of the overflow from the Main Street too? Would it be?
I
If
don't
the Main Street
think-
cloud is full?
I don't think what I see daily when I'm coming out is people will they're driving along, and I think it's a Google problem. I really do. I think Google is routing people down that road to the beach. But they're stopping right in the turn, and they're kind of trying to get their bearings. They're looking on their
Decision
phone.
making. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's dangerous because when you're turning in, you're trying to navigate around 3 intersections and cars stop that you don't know.
Yes.
Hey, are they gonna pull out in front of me while I'm trying to turn in? So it
It
is,
is a little,
Yeah.
confusing. Yeah.
yeah, and just with the increase in traffic that we are likely gonna see.
Yeah.
I have a daughter that rides her bike through there. and
Yeah.
Kids in the area, so I would
Sure
like to
thing.
see some.
Yeah.
And also on the turn, on Beach Crossing going into Youngs Road.
Okay.
I had requested this before, and actually, I think I got somebody to go over to clear some alders there,
Okay.
but on that corner, it kind of makes a blind corner, and I think it's on the property of the highway garage.
Okay. Yeah.
If they could do. a
Clear out
little-
the brush clear.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah, it's just,
that should be.
especially with bus
Yeah.
pulling in there, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you both for those questions.
Thank you.
And Mr. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Smith. I live in Oakland, Utah. We lived on an hour, 20 years ago, that road was east. And it was packed. So over the 20 years, all the rocks cut and settled in there. But roots all the way up. And the only work, the main work that's been done was, okay, going to this road, there was half of the road was done. They came and fixed that last year, but the roads is the floor condition.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm resident, you said it's been 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since the water. And it was destroyed. It was paid, but it was destroyed. Blasted.
I think I remember the project, Dave. when they were doing the blasting down there.
Yeah.
A bit of rock and everything.
It was
They-
terrible.
Yeah, had a hard time putting the line in.
So if like that, what relation they've got in the big, it's not, right?
No,
Right, and then also, because of the condition of the road, in the winter time, it can't get one.
yeah, no.
And so I see God, I need somebody to clear my driveway. My driveway is clear. And I'll be. Main road.
Okay, capture that one.
Yeah.
And then,
That's it.
no, and I do appreciate your comments, I just in the interest of time. Yeah.
No, what I can do is, Bruce, is just like quantify the length of the road and try to come up with some ideas with the. We don't, I guess, I try to explain, like our local maintenance operations, the plowing guys, and a few guys that go around, do a little bit of patching and stuff. We don't have the funds for the capital work to go in and put a 10 road and have, you know, $400,000 or $500,000 a kilometer to repave a local road. So I'm strictly hands tied with the capital funding with priority lists, different categories. And that's where I listen to concerns like yourself, and the road has to get on a list at some point. And
Yeah.
sometimes money comes available and it can get bumped up, or so I got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and
Right.
you can follow up with Mr. Smith later on as well. So, and I just, we have till 4 o'clock and we're a bit over time now.
Yep.
So are you okay with that, Dave?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Sure, I wanted to get mine.
Any other quick questions or comments before we move on? Yeah.
A quick one, my name is Rebecca. I've heard from lots of places there was a problem just moving down the highways, which is terrifying. Do we have any idea how much it costs to maintain and then roads in just breaking?
How much it costs?
Yes, what's your budget?
Well, yeah, I know high, I guess, yeah, I get a maintenance budget around $10 million, okay, real high level. And about $6 million of that is taken right under that budget for winter alone.
I think you can stop right now, like there's no way we can do $10 million in this county.
Yeah.
That's just all of it.
No, and then you know, the other 4 million is for, you know, we have one thing that I keep preaching on, and I'm not blaming anybody within government or our department, is the cost of doing business in our communities is much higher than it is if you were in Sydney, and if you needed a load of asphalt in Sydney, there's 4 asphalt plants there, and it can be there 15 minutes. Well, it takes 2 hours for us to travel one way to go get something, come back. So it's always been a little pet peeve of mine, and then we get our maintenance budget with this a lot. We can fix a knocked over stop sign and patch a few potholes here and there, but you know, to rebuild roads, we need the capital funding, I guess, is where the investment has to come from. Yeah.
No, that's more than an interesting question.
Yeah.
I just want to get that, you know, in the
Yeah.
backwards that.
Yeah. No. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Going to.
Good.
Thank you.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Real quick, we're really over time.
Okay, really quick. Just again for Steve.
Yes.
Just regarding the equipment for North Smoky area.
Yeah.
I know it's always a challenge.
Yes.
I can speak with some knowledge on it because my dad plowed snow for 40 years. in the
Okay.
province.
Yeah.
But I know that we've come from a time where a lot of the operators were quite handy and quite self-sufficient in doing repairs.
Yeah.
On a lot of the equipment.
Yeah.
We've kind of moved away from that model quite a bit because I think because of, you know, occupational health and safety,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Sure.
It's a hands-off sort of thing. So
Yeah.
if something breaks, you're looking at a piece of equipment being taken away and taken to the vet. I know last year, one of the trucks that were here, it had that short box.
Yes.
And it was actually a recycling truck, I believe, from another location.
Okay.
But I'm just wondering, in terms of new equipment for this area,
Yep.
do you know if there's any budget or been any requests for a new build or a new truck for this area?
Yeah, so capital equipment is, we need more money in that program.
Right.
On a high level, there's about 30 some odd plows between loaders and salt trucks, and we have 12 full-size salt trucks. The price of a new truck today is over $400,000 for one new truck, so
Are any of the 9 that are sitting in Miller Lake waiting to be built, or any of them scheduled for here?
I am scheduled to get one of those trucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So ideally, a good cycle would be, you know, every 7th or 8th year, you're taking that truck out of commission.
Right.
But right now, we're getting one truck a year, so we're almost on an 11-year cycle.
Right.
To get to, you know, but we're aware of that. Like, we're trying to do our best. We put a new loader in Cape North last year. Year before that was a new salt truck. Although you're saying a recycled truck, but as we move vehicles around, I'm very aware of, you know, the need to have the reliable equipment north.
Right.
So the truck that's there now was actually on Kelly's Mountain for a while on the Trans-Canada. And then we have a new style of truck, not to make it complicated, but that truck wasn't suited. So I took a truck that I thought was the best condition possible and put it down there. So I'm always trying to make things work.
So I'm sorry I got in it, but I would suggest you would, if you have more questions for Steve, just to speak to him after the meeting.
Yeah,
certainly.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah.
And honestly, and we've been talking hybrids since 1900. It's always an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
In the interest of time, we have to look right
Yeah.
at the agenda. We have to move forward with it. So
Very good.
with that, I want to thank both of you for both staff and the council and of the residents here as well. And if anybody has any questions, contact either MLA Bain or Steve McDonald individually. And I want to thank you for your time this afternoon and the updates on what's coming, and also listening to some of the concerns that we are still on our list. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
So we're going to move on to the next item on the district concerns, and I'm going to ask today. Oh, I'm sorry. Trying to get the bottom of this list before 4 o'clock. The minutes of our council meeting September 12th were circulated to you. You've had a chance to review them. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? If none, I would like to have a motion to accept the minutes as.
I make a motion.
Thank you, Councillor Ronca. Approve those minutes.
I'll second it.
Second by Councillor Organ, all in favor. I'm reminded. The minutes are approved. CEO's report has been presented, circulated to you. Are there any questions or comments for the CAO in regards to her? I'll get to you in 1 moment.
Did you
Pardon?
want to move the mic?
No.
No, mike's good, sir. Thank you for pointing that out. Any questions or comments in regards to CAO?
I had a couple of questions.
Sure.
I'm not sure it was from your report, but maybe it's not. The Englishtown Community Hall requested 20% for the generators.
Yeah, and I believe we brought that to council.
Okay, because on the minute, when I read the minutes, it was we were going to look into it.
Yeah, so I think you can approve that.
Okay, good. Yeah. I wonder about the.
Yeah, so sorry, they should take the next steps on that while we'll be
Okay. Okay. While we get.
yeah, we're seeing the generator. Yeah.
I asked that the Ecology Action Center be called. Did you get in touch with them?
Yeah.
Oh.
We're figuring it out.
Okay, great.
Just trying to figure out the best date.
And the other one was I had asked about when people are buying up land and reselling this for profit quickly, like you buy it one day, next day it's on the market. And I asked if there was a policy or some kind of tax that could be implemented, and you were going to look into that.
And did you ask me that?
I brought it up at the last, yeah, it was at the last tax sale. There was people that were buying up land and selling it.
Yeah, there's no
policy.
That is, if somebody buys a piece of property, it's theirs, it's in the name, unless it is redeemable. And if it's redeemable, they can't do anything with it for 6 months. And then if it's not redeemed by the prior owner, then that is their property. Yep.
Anyone else?
Just a letter to Minister Laura.
Could you just speak up, please?
Just a minute, letter to Minister Laura that was sent out about the service agreement. Did you hear anything back from?
No, we are processing that letter and I needed to sign it, I believe. So we're just in the process of sending that.
Thank you.
But there's been several that have been sent in,
yeah.
And all who have lots of roads are in the same position. And those who live out a bunch of roads, yeah. Nobody wants roads.
No.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor McDonald.
Just wondering if anybody from Public Works within the county reached back with regard to the survey markers at Colbert Road and Dingwall, where the water line was put in there years back. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so that is so we have no record of anyone moving those, and I believe that it is outside their professional ethics to move those lines, from what I've investigated on it. So I don't believe that's the case. I think that the property owners should probably look into the survey if that's the case, putting them back in the line. Sorry.
Any other questions or comments? All right, we shall move on to the next item. And the CA's report circulated prior to council. And I will ask for CAO's direction. I'm sorry, we should deal with district concerns first. Check mark through that premature. District concerns, just in the interest of time, so things that you have to highlight. We'll start with Councillor Morgan.
Most of my district concerns were from Mr. McDonald, but all my district concerns last month has been on the bylaw procedure and concerns, and that will be taken care of later on today.
Thank you very much. Well said. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Lord. Just not a concern, but we had a colors concert on Saturday night at the Village Week School, our 24th or 25th year. We sold out with the audience. Peter Bain was there in the front row, but a brief survey of the audience, I would say that 70 to 75% of them are tourists, and talk to them. They would ask you where's a good restaurant to eat, we would ask them where they're staying. A lot of them stay a week. So really, the investment we make in telling fellows comes back to us hundredfold, if not more, because it's amazing. And why did you come to Cape Breton? Which is incredible. Yeah. So that's kind of a good thing. It's not a concern. Thank you.
No observation. Thank you very much. Deputy Ward.
Two quick things. I'd like to make a motion that $1,000 from district budget given to the Northwest Smoky Food Bank. Make that a motion.
We have a second for that, please.
I'll second that.
Second by Councillor Morgan. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm reminded. Motion is carried.
I also like to make a motion that $2,000 from the District 6 budget and $1,000 from District 7, Jackie's budget, $3,000 in total be given to the English Development Society for the Hucklebuckle Festival and events. I'll make that a motion.
We have a second for that, please.
I'll second that.
Second by Councillor McDonald. All in favor?
I would take $1,000
from. Motion is carried. Councillor McDonald.
Just a few quick things, Warden. I'd like to make a motion, have a letter sent to Inverness Council with regard to the busing situation for students coming in and meet call for busing. Yeah. Motion sent to Inverness Council with regard to the busing issue for students coming in and meet call because they access us through the regional school board, through Victoria County, we could send a letter in regards to see what their steps are to work with them to try to get the problem of getting that taken care of, right? But we'll make a motion, please.
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Warden, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried.
Secondly, I had a call from a few people in the area regard to policing in District 8. They're looking for, I spoke to Councillor Orton with regard to the advisory, police advisory, if we can have maybe the RCMP come to council and just do an update. It's been quite a while since we had seen them. We can maybe task the CAO to reach out to them.
Yep, sure.
Can you make that request to the CAO and she will follow through? Sure.
And lastly, I'd just like to take $1,000 from the District 8 budget, 500 for the Cabot Volunteer Fire Department, and 500 for the North Highlands Community Museum. Just have them in for stuff that, please.
Captured in the minutes.
That's it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Long.
Yes, I just want to say that Nova Scotia Power ended up canceling our meeting that was scheduled in Indian Brook because of Hurricane Lee was coming and they didn't know how busy they were going to be and they were very busy with power outages, but I'm going to reschedule that with the PR person, Emily McNeil. So that'll be coming up. I want to take from my district budget $400 to SAVDA for maintenance on the green outdoor space at the Indian Brook Fire Hall, and $500 from my district budget to the Castle Museum. And I just wanted to mention that the community garden in our area is doing very well, and they had their end of season get together with the barbecue, and so tickets on a huge basket of fresh produce from the garden. Yeah, so it's going very well, and I'm getting lots of Celtic colors, people coming into my shop and buying hats, so I'm happy. Business is good. Yeah, Celtic colors is great. I've been to the After Hours Club volunteering 2 nights, and I have 1 more night to go. And good crowds and great music. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you for providing your concerns. Councillor McNeil.
Thank you, Warden. Just one item. I'd like to make a motion that we write a letter of congratulations to Rodney Chesson.
Rodney Chesson?
Yeah. For accepting a new position as manager of site maintenance with Nova Scotia Museums. Rodney will be missed at the Nova Scotia Highland Village. He was executive director there for 30 years, so we'll miss him greatly. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Good for bringing that up. I just have one quick item from Councilor McLeod, who's asked that council would they consider providing a $250 sponsorship for Raising the Village as they're hosting an event with a number of community groups in Port Hawkesbury on October 17th. So it was requested we contribute to help offset some of the costs.
How much was that?
$250.
Is that from the budget or is that just general?
I think in total, yeah, from general costs. So I would make that motion on her behalf.
Okay, motion on the table. We have a second for that motion?
A second.
Second by Councillor McNeil. All in favor?
Aye.
Councillor United? Motion passed.
Thank you very much. And that concludes the district. I just had that one. Good. Actually, I'm sorry, I do have 2. I thought I mentioned them earlier, but they do require motions. So
sure.
Request for sidewalks have to come through council. I had a request for Public Works to consider putting a crosswalk on the Shore Road at Twining Street. The crosswalk can cross over Twining Street at the intersection of Shore Road, and also at Ross Street, which is by Mark Morrison Motors. Across there on Shore Road, because that's for children walking to school, and particularly as Councillor Longo has mentioned, it's been a busy couple of weeks with Celtic colors, et cetera, and the increase in traffic, and I think that's why the individuals made those requests. So that would be a motion, 2 sidewalks.
Motion's been made. We have a second for that motion.
Second.
Second by Councillor McDonald. All in favor?
Aye.
Councillor United? Motion passed.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. We're going to move on to motions, proclamations, resolutions, and CAO is one that she wishes to bring forward.
Yeah, so this is the never-ending motion. I think that we're just trying to get the correct wording on. So as per our last council session held in September, there was a motion for the sale of the Tower Road property. And I don't think it had a bid on it, or it didn't have all the required information on it. So I'm thinking we need to rescind that motion, and then I have a new motion for the same thing, but more details.
So point of order.
Yes, sir.
I was not at that meeting, so I don't think I'm eligible.
Probably not.
And I think you need a 2/3 majority to proceed, don't you? Anyway, that's just, but I'm not eligible. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first we need a motion to rescind the original Tower Road property motion. So
Okay, move the, send that motion.
the move by the deputy warden, we need a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Councillor Organ. All in favor? Contrary minded. So that motion has been rescinded, and the new motion is.
Okay, so I have a new motion so it's the same property, it's the same piece of land, but that the council of the municipality of the county of Victoria agrees to convey the property at Water Tower Road, Ingonish Beach, PID number 85175958 to Destination Cape Breton Association at less than fair market value, and that the county will relinquish title to the property dependent on the following conditions. The land be used only for residential housing purposes. And 2, if the property is no longer used for housing purposes or Destination Cape Breton Association wishes to sell the property, the municipality will have the right to reacquire the property for the same price that it sold the property.
So who's making that motion? Moved by the deputy warden. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councillor McDonald. All in favor? Reminded. Correspondence has been circulated. You see that with council package. Committee reports.
Yeah, so we had committee of the whole on September 28th. From there, our Department of Public Works talked about several different things, but there was the extended producer responsibility that was discussed, that was mentioned that there needs to be either an opt-in or an opt-out of the Denver, Nova Scotia program. It was a recommendation that came forward that we opt in to being part of the EPR program. It's something that council needs to be aware of and make that motion. It needs to be done by the 1st of January, so we need that by December. So wondering if you can think about it, and we'll bring it back at the next council session to make a motion either to opt in or opt out, because we need to respond to them.
Yeah, just one, I think, and I think anyone was at that meeting with the manager, Kelly. There's still a lot of questions that we and Councilman McNeil pointed out that the NSFN is meeting this week in November, and I'm sure we'll get an opportunity to talk to other municipalities and talk with them involved to get a clear understanding of what it's all going to be about. You know, again, as I said, I think there were more questions than answers at that last session we had, so we should do some more work on it. And I think by December should give us enough time to make an informed decision.
Any other comments in regards to the and I agree with you, and council will give you assurances that we give you the answer by the date required.
So that was, yeah, that was the only recommendation or motion that came from the table.
Any, we're just opening it here to anybody in the general gallery that's here this afternoon. Does anybody have any questions, comments for council this afternoon? Yes, sir. Start with you, Mr. Shannon.
Again, I have a different topic. I was wondering if council was considering suspending late charges and increasing charges until January 1st, 2024 onward. With the reading of the meters, the way it works, I get a half a year water bill, probably by the middle of this month. And I got my water bill for June 30th, and it was over $1,000. there's only 2 of us in the house. I question the meter readings. Now, half of my bill was on the old meter, which is gone. So I can't dispute that reading. And then I find that the new meter wasn't read till August 12th. So I got a bill from April till August 12th, which is over $1,000. And the new water bills are coming out. I don't think it's fair that I should have to pay late charges and interest because of the awful of the meter replacement. I think it's only fair that this should be waited until our next normal water bill, which should be the end of December.
Okay, I'll ask the CAO to comment on that, please.
So that's an option. I don't believe there's anything that stops us from being able to do that on a water utility. So that you can't waive the interest.
That's what we had to do here.
So we can write a letter to the UARB.
Yeah,
So,
and the white payments and because I'm not going to be able to pay those bills until
Right.
January.
Yeah.
If I make so much each month, because my water bill usually was around $220 based on usage. Now it's going to be close to $460 every 3 months.
Yeah.
Because we're paying the highest rate in Nova Scotia because of population. We only have so many people. If we had more population using the water system, the rate would be down.
So with David, we got that and we will follow up with a letter to the UARB.
If that's council's wishes.
If that's, so we just stick with me for a minute.
Okay.
All right, so.
I'll make a motion that we, like the UARB, request a delay in interest charges for late payment.
Do you want a waive of them or a delay
Let's try for waiving.
Yeah.
until the 1st of December, or sorry,
1st of January.
January.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilor Orton, all in favor? Aye. Reminded. So we will follow up with that, Mr. Smith. Thank you.
Well, I don't have a question, I have a suggestion. I won't heard about it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And we know the acoustics of this room is also a challenge as well. So I tried to speak as loud as I could, and that's why I asked folks in the back of the room if they could hear just a moment. Yes. The two speakers that are paid speakers in the back to the public. Okay. That doesn't work. Put it in your notes next time. Thank you, and we appreciate your comments. Thank you. Anything else? Yes. Yeah, so we just clearly so we can hear you as well.
I don't have a very loud voice either. Thank you. I'll try not to take up too much time. I emailed council, everyone on council on October 5th, and I wanted to present the petition for the local improvement charge. I want to respectfully present this to you. Yeah. As a concerned resident and a business owner, I'm hearing a lot of things through the community that Larry and I've had great discussion about this. Some of this is rumor and some of it is based on things that have come from the minutes of council. And I just want to address that. So I have a short letter, if it's okay for me to read this.
Yeah, a short letter and the presentation.
If it's pressed for time, I do have copies of the petition, the letter, and the comments on the petition for everyone at council, and I can provide you with that if you'd like to review.
And we have received.
Well, you have received it, but on October the 5th, on the petition, there were 900 signatures. As of 1:30 this afternoon, there were 1,131 signatures, okay? What I am hearing in regard to the petition, we did only do.
I want you to read the letter. I want you to read the letter they had to council.
Yeah, I'm just gonna give everyone a copy so you can follow along. Okay. Thank you.
So this is related to the public hearing.
Do you want to wait till you send that thing?
I would prefer not because it's gonna be nap time at about 5:30.
For you.
And I did request in my email to council for that reason that I be allowed to present this petition here. I will be short and sweet.
So I just want to clarify, it's just the covering letter, we're going to need your receipt of the petition.
Yes.
That's all. That's
The
all we
petition
have.
that's attached to this is the current one from today.
And we are going to receive that, and I just, in the interest of time.
Yes.
And I just want to be consistent with the same with everyone later on as well. So there's a time limit that is there for everyone. So there's a 3-minute time limit. So I would expect them to be the same amount of time that.
Okay, well, I'll skip the letter and I'll just go right to my questions.
Yeah.
Can you guys confirm that the questions I will be asking will be inscribed to the minutes of the meeting for clarity and transparency?
So we are noting the questions and so it's a hearing. We're not responding.
No, I understand that some of them may be detailed responses and may require follow-up in writing, and that's fine. I just wanted, for the record, say that they were asked. I guess I'll put it simply to be quick. Just wondering, where did all of this come from and what was the genesis of the LIC initiative? When did it begin? Where did the conversation begin? Okay, and when?
So again, we're not answering questions. This is going to be part of the hearing.
The second question is, could you explain the criteria or methodology used to prioritize new infrastructure developments and improvements? What process or how do you guys determine what is critical? What is of the highest priority? You know, are these proposals that we're looking at, are they critical?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that question. Did you have any questions in?
How do we prioritize or capital projects?
What's the methodology used to prioritize infrastructure developments? And have there been lessons learned from other municipalities on this? And what are the timelines for stakeholder engagement on these? I'm going to skip right along. In the bylaw, it states that not-for-profit properties will be exempt from charges. For example, could this mean that a property that's owned by a not-for-profit, such as the Ingonish Waterfront Development Society owns the land that's located below the peninsula, will be exempt from the local improvement charge? Is this an example of a property that would apply to this in this circumstance?
Okay, so two things, like verbalize your questions, and if you send them, probably also send them via email. And I'm not sure if Steph has received it or not. She's trying to
I sent them on the 5th.
Questions. So any other quick questions?
Yes, is considering this local improvement bylaw before bylaws are implemented by Plan Eastern Nova Scotia, is this perhaps putting the cart before the horse?
Okay.
What I am seeing is that as I read through this bylaw, there's a lot of blanks and there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of moving pieces with it.
Right.
I really feel that, you know, this is a big bylaw for a small municipality. I think we have a lot of small pieces that we need to look at, such as land use.
I understand. That. We're just trying to capture your questions at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
And I understand that with this LIC bylaw, there's a lot of moving pieces, but there's other bylaws that need to be coherent with this. And I'll give you an example of that. Rapid acquisition of property. You know, we're seeing that in municipality. I understand that in other municipalities, there are bylaws against this because I'm not squashing development or anti-development or anti-progress. Our communities do need it, but can we look at a way that doesn't financially burden or have a negative impact on the residents?
Okay.
And
you captured that question. So
yes.
in respect to time, so you have a couple more questions or?
I wasn't completed with that question.
Sorry.
I wasn't finished my question.
Okay.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is the municipality looking at land use bylaws under Plan Eastern Nova Scotia, in particular, to control rapid acquisition of property?
Okay. That's the question.
That's the question.
Okay, great.
Okay. And last question, I'm just wondering where the funds that are generated by the local improvement charge, where are they going to be allocated to, and what is the decision-making process that governs these revenues? Okay. So, you know, when you receive these revenues, what process is going to be implemented to decide what happens with these revenues? Thank you very much for your time.
So no, thank you for your time. So we're just going to make a motion to accept your petition.
Thank you.
And we thank you for doing the petition, and we appreciate your feedback. So
thank you very much.
I'm making a motion, we accept the petition as presented. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Larry.
we have a second by Councilor Longo. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. All right, it is for 2 minutes after 4. Any other quick last burning question? We have a motion to adjourn. So move we adjourn. We are adjourned. There's no questions. We'll just check, see if there's any questions.
Don't cost me.
We're going to